I'm Rose McDonough, and I'm down here looking at my liquid measuring cup to make sure I have exactly a cup. This is liquid measuring because I have a cup of water in here. You go this way, where the bottom line is, that's your 1 cup. Alright, so in my pot, I have some really weird ingredients. I have a cup of flour. I have a half a cup of salt. Doesn't that sound tasty? And I have 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. And then I've got this cup of water, and I have 2 tablespoons of oil, and I had some food coloring and some cinnamon over here. What can she be making? I'm making homemade Play-Doh. I cannot stand the smell of store-bought Play-Doh. It makes me sick. My kids never had store-bought Play-Doh unless somebody else bought it for them because I didn't like the smell. I also hate the mess of Play-Doh. So we didn't have it all that often. We had it when I could take the kids outside and they could sit at the little children's picnic table outside and we would play with it. Or I would bring them inside and we could play with it. That was the only time we ever had it. Alright, so I've got this cup of water and I told you I've got these 2 tablespoons of oil. And I want to make my colors now. So I got a really pretty vibrant color, the neons. And I'm going to do maybe 4 drops in there. I don't know how much. And then the cinnamon. Did I mention I hate the smell of Play-Doh? This Play-Doh doesn't smell too bad, but why not make it smell a little bit better? So I'm going to add a little bit of oil to it, of cinnamon oil. I've also been known to add things like Kool-Aid mix. I know, doesn't that sound weird? But that gives me a color and everything all at once, and that's why I'll do that. So weird. You cannot see anything. It doesn't even look like it's anything, but it will be in just a couple minutes. So I'm going to pour that into the middle, and then I'm also going to pour my water into it. Here's the color coming through right now. Almost looks purple, not even that pink. And I'm going to slowly mix this up. Once this is mixed up, I'm putting it on the heat. And I have the heat on fairly low because we want it to come together and cook. Honestly, that's what we're doing. We're cooking it. This is a cooked Play-Doh recipe. There's a lot of people who have Play-Doh recipes out there. They're all relatively similar. But I got this one from my sister-in-law, Sherry. And it was one that they used to, oh, it smells so good. I love cinnamon. This is the one that they used to use at the daycare center where she worked. I've been known to give this as gifts. I'll make a couple of colors, and I'll get some nice cookie cutters, and I'll give them to small children, to toddlers or to preschoolers, and they like playing with this one, and they like that it smells good too. Although kids won't tell you, really, I think they, well, baby strength formula, so they don't really seem to have much of a smell or a taste, and they're not making good decisions at that point, I guess. Alright, so this is mixed. I had a little bit of a lump in there. I want to just get rid of the lump before I start to cook it. It goes from this shiny color to a dull color, and that's just about when you know when it is finished cooking. So I'm going to move it over here, and then we're going to get a closer look so you can watch how wonderful it is. So I've been doing this for about 2 minutes now, and you can see it's starting to dry out, and you probably can tell that it's starting to steam. The weird thing is that I'm using a rubber scraper, but not the normal way. I actually have it turned upside down. So I'm using the flatter end of it to keep mixing it together because I want to make sure I get every single bit off of the bottom. And this one has almost spoon-like in it, and I don't want to have any of it wasted on there. So again, when you have some on the bottom, you're going to lift it up. As it starts to come together, you know it's going to be quick at the very end. All the moisture will be gone. Oh, it's getting really difficult. Once I've gotten it all together, I have to knead it. So I'll have to take it and I'll put it on a cutting board and I'll let it cool because this would burn my hands if I tried to put my hands in here right now. And I let it cool for about 2 minutes, maximum 2 minutes. And then from there, I start to knead it together because you want to make it soft and elastic. You all know what Play-Doh is like. Everybody has used Play-Doh. I might also mention there are other uses of Play-Doh besides just kids using it. So my daughter was making with a friend of hers. She was making, oh, I don't know what you call them. It's like a fruit bouquet where you cut up fruit and you put them on sticks. And they needed something to put the skewers in that had the fruit on it. So what we did is we had Play-Doh. I said, here's my homemade Play-Doh. Everything in here is edible. You just don't want to eat all that salt. It would be awful. And so I gave that to her, and they were able to put that into the bottom of the vase that they were using. And it's heavy, so it wasn't hard for them to use that. And again, it's edible. All right, so with this, it's pretty well dried out. I see 1 or 2 wet spots. I'm going to drop it out here. The white that's on the bottom is most likely salt that has fallen down there because the flour usually gets fairly well incorporated into it. So I'm going to let it cool for a second or two. All right, I'm not saying a second or two, come on now. About 2 minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and start. Oh my gosh, it's Play-Doh. And just like everything else, I cannot stand to waste any. I'm trying to pull the last bit of it out. It's like a disease, isn't it? I don't know. It's warm, but it's not so hot at this point as it starts to cool down that it's going to burn my hand. It's very soft. Play-Doh that you buy from the store is not normally as soft, and I'm not bashing it because other people use it all the time. That's fine. I just don't like that smell, as I already said, but I also like how this feels. It feels much nicer. The bad part about this, it does not last forever. You have to, after about 2 months, it'll start to smell funky, and you will have to throw it out. In this day and age, when kids are sneezing and coughing and everything else, a daycare where I had worked, every 2 weeks we threw out all of our Play-Doh and got fresh Play-Doh. We couldn't afford in our budget to be buying Play-Doh, so we always made the Play-Doh so that we could be able to throw it out and not have to worry about any germs. All right, so I'm going to move this out of my way. I almost fell off my stool. I had to be up higher. So I'm just going to take it, pull it towards me, and flatten it. Just like when I do bread. Fold, flatten, and flip. Fold, flatten, and flip. And you see how it's come together, how it looks so much more smooth? There's a little bit of a white spot there that didn't get mixed up at some point. Once I do this for a few minutes, I think my recipe actually says knead for 3 to 5 minutes. I don't believe I've ever kneaded that long. I think I've only probably done about 2.5 to 3 minutes. And that's always seemed like it was good enough for me. Do not put this into a container until it completely cools. You don't want any of that moisture in a container. You can use a Ziploc bag, you can use plastic containers. You don't want to do glass when you have kids with it. I've been known to save things like what I get cottage cheese in, and I will put my Play-Doh in there. No, and don't get frustrated if you're a new parent and you're starting to let your kids play with this for the first time. They can eat it. It's not the end of the world, but know how no matter how many pretty colors you made, by the time they're done, it'll all be this really ugly gray color because they will mix it together and mix it together. The last tip I want to give you is because, again, I don't really love to have Play-Doh in my house. So when I have the kids play with it, they're on the floor that's a hard floor. But when my kids were little, I always saved old shower curtains. And I used to put them in the trunk of my car. So if we wanted to do an impromptu picnic because we had been out shopping and everybody was starving and I stopped at Costco and got a pizza and we took it somewhere to the park, I could use that shower curtain. But I also had one in my house that I put down on the floor, and then I could put that underneath, and when they were at the picnic table and they played with the Play-Doh, anything that went, it went onto the shower curtain, not onto my floor, certainly not onto my carpet. It was the best thing to do. That's just one of those fun things that you can do. Also used to keep the shower curtain for, we'd go to the parade, 4th of July, and if it rained, it's nothing worse than getting your butt wet. But Miss Rose or Aunt Rose or Camp Rose always had the shower curtain, and I would always have the beach towels. So we could put everything down and everybody stayed dry. All right, so that's it. It's a beautiful Play-Doh. It's cooling down already. It's enough that a child could play with it at this point. And it's come together. It's so smooth, it's so soft, and it's lovely to play with. All right, so I want to do some shout outs today. And my first shout out's going to go to, I'm trying to mix them up so I can see, my friend Chastity Bennett. She has twins that are 2 years old, two-year-old girls. She's in for a pleasant time. Maybe Chastity didn't make this with her kids, who knows? All right, let's see who else we're going to pull out here. I have no idea who this is. This is a subscriber. Bearlee5, Bearlee5. Like, leave us a note You've already subscribed, but leave me a message at some point so I know, do I know you? And if I don't, thanks so much for subscribing. And for anyone else who's watching, please subscribe, ring the bell, like me, leave comments, tell me what else that you're looking for, because I'm always looking to be able to teach more. I'm willing to do anything. Well, within reason, of course. I'm willing to teach anything. So please let me know what you're interested in. Thank you and have a good evening.